Yeah, we're good. Okay. So, first guest of the day, Dad, Mr. Pianetta. He is joining us. Very excited. Oops. So, thank you all for joining in. Gonna get my gloves on here. So if you guys have watched any of our videos, well actually we posted one, I need to post the second one, where we tasted our Syrah and my phone kept dying, so Bonnie and I got a little carried away. So it's a little long, but it's pretty funny. But as you know, we have our safety gloves, we have our quarantine hat, and let me see if there's anyone, since we have this nice long table and I'm all by my onesies, if anyone else can join us today. Well, let's see. Oh my God. Hey Bonnie, how's it going?
Hey.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Air cheers.
Air cheers.
Keep it safe.
Hi folks.
We're gonna make sure we have our 6 feet of separation.
Salute.
Alrighty.
Alrighty, that looks pretty good to me.
Are we good? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, Bonnie. They can't see you. Okay, I'm gonna adjust it.
But then they can't see you.
They can see me.
Where are you?
I'll be back here again.
I can.
All right. Well, thank you guys for
No.
joining us.
I'm here. You have to be in here, Ian.
We're here.
Hi.
Okay, so I am going to go ahead and check and see. Can everyone hear us? Can everyone see us? You have to bear with us. We're all in quarantine here. Oh, yes, I got a comment about Dad. Due to his virtual nature in this video, we are 6 feet away from him, so it's a safe distance. We're okay on that. So, there he is. So he's joining us today as well.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, can someone just shoot me a message there that says if you can hear us or not?
Can you hear us?
Test, test.
Test 1, 2, test.
I think there is a small delay.
Huh.
Anybody? Okay, well.
So how would I get on that?
So that's a great question. How do you get on our loud and clear? Perfect. Okay. How do you get on to the Facebook Live video? All you have to do is go to the Pianetta Winery Facebook page, and if you go down to the live or to the videos, it'll show that we are currently live and recording.
Awesome. Gotcha.
All right. So, hope you guys are all doing well in quarantine. We have been very lucky for the last few weeks. We've been busy, so it hasn't hit us too much yet. And as you can see, both Bonnie and I are alive and well. Bonnie, how are you feeling? Do you have any symptoms? Are you okay?
I feel really good. And I have to tell you, I owe it all to this wine, this Pianetta wine.
Oh, well, let's send that into the USDA and see if they feel
because
secure.
it has enough alcohol in it to kill the virus when it's in my stomach.
That's cool.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So
I will say that I imagine my alcohol, even though it seems that consumption would go down because I'm not out socializing as much, I feel that I'm cooking at home a lot more, which pretty much makes me have a nice glass of wine or two at the end of the day. So I would say that my wine consumption has gone up, which is interesting. But I also have realized that it hasn't changed my lifestyle that much, so maybe that's meaning that I'm a introvert at heart. So there we are. So I just wanted to say, why did we choose Zinfandel today? As you guys all know, everyone was put on a shelter-in-place, lockdown, whatever you want to call it, quarantine, in jail, whatever you want to say. I believe it was starting on St. Patrick's Day, which cheers to that, thank you.
A couple of days prior. Yeah.
Party poopers. Well, that particular weekend, we were supposed to celebrate Zinfest. They call it Vintage Paso now, but it is technically Zinfest. So we thought we would enjoy it with a little Zinfandel.
Which was the double gold for us.
Oh yeah, at San Francisco Chronicle.
Yeah, so and there's not very many bottles left.
I know, we were saving the last little bits for Zinfest weekend, and we weren't able to celebrate, so we thought we would do it this time. It is going out in the quarterly club shipments this week, or quarterly and semi-annual, you'll get the Zin. But we don't, I don't think I have more than a couple cases left, to be honest, so.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, let's see. So, a little bit of history about Zinfandel and Paso. Well, actually, should we start with where did Zin come from? There's all kinds of theories about this.
Yeah.
And it is from Croatia, which I did have to look up because I'm not a world traveler. And it's just to the, top side of the boot from Italy, kind of, sort of. So we'll show you a little picture. That's Croatia. That's where it was from. And so also when it went to Italy, it became known as, I believe, Primitivo.
Primitivo. Yes.
And I believe, if my history is correct, don't judge me on this one, you guys may know more than me. In Paso, it was Italian immigrants who brought it over and planted it here in Paso.
Yeah.
So,
And you can ask the Paso man, he knows all about it.
the Paso wine man.
Yeah.
We did have a sighting of him just recently.
Yes.
He came into the tasting room for a glass of rosé.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mr. Paso wine man.
Before the virus.
Before the shutdown,
Just to let, before the shutdown. Just to let you know, he didn't come in illegally.
No, we would not do that ever. So just so you guys know, here at the tasting room right now, we are still here every day, typically about 12 or 1 to 5-ish. So you guys can pick up wine. We're shipping out a lot of orders, but we cannot do any personal tastings, which is too bad. But
and if you're local bees, we would even deliver to your home.
That's right. I did deliver on St. Patrick's Day to 6 lovely ladies all dressed in green with nowhere to go, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And then they invited me in for a glass of wine, which I accepted generously and had a great time. But it was, it's too bad.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to normal here hopefully in the next, who knows how long, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, Bonnie. So in case you guys didn't know, Miss Bonnie here is a California wine appellation specialist.
That would be me.
Okay, so can you tell us about,
Yes.
and she has some phenomenal fashion sense with the gloves. So can you tell us a little bit about Zinfandel? What should we be looking for? I don't think I've ever had an Italian Primitivo, to be honest.
I have, and it basically, to me, it tastes like the same grape. Castoro is very big about having their Primitivo.
Oh, I meant from Italy itself.
Oh, Italy. Oh, no. No, Italy itself, I have never had an Italian Primitivo
I
either.
guess that's something I'll have to try to hunt down.
Yeah, I will too. I'm hoping that it'll taste just as good as ours, but if not.
I hold a special place in my heart. So what do you normally, actually use Castoro's Primitivo and compare. Like, what do you taste in a Zin? I mean, to me, they're all over the board. Paso.
Zins, I kind of feel on the west side, they're big, fruit-forward jamminess with a lot of pepper on the back. It's like almost biting into a nice plum. It's really super fruity. I feel over on the east side, they're not as big and bold because I think on the east side, we get more heat. West side, it tends to be a little cooler so they can let their grapes hang a little longer. That's what I think. That's just my opinion. But I really feel that our Zin does have some nice fruit to it, but I kind of feel that it's more elegant because you're going to get the fruit and the pepper all the way through, opposed to having that fruit bomb in the front and then a lot of pepper in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, the Zins in Paso tend to kind of span that spectrum of all kinds of different. So I've always thought that maybe it was by trend. too. Like, I mean, when I first got into wine tasting, I hate to say how long ago it was, I'm not going to. But, but let's call it, I was drinking some late 90s, early 2000 wines. And at that time, the trend was just kind of getting into like those big,
Exactly.
you know, like you wouldn't blink an eye if you saw something over 16%. I've seen 17%. I don't know if I've seen 18, but big high alcohol, heavy fruit. And for us, we've always tried to take a little more of a traditional approach, call it old fashioned, but with that California flavor. And that's what I like about it. Personally, I love our Zin. Other Zins, like I used to love like those big jammy fruit bombs, but my flavors have changed. We are trying to do justice to the vine, or to the grapes that we grow, but ours do not tend to be like a really heavy alcohol, as I just look at the bottle here and it says 15.2, but that's definitely the highest I think that
it's really, and one thing about that, having high alcohol on some of them, like you would get on the west side, some, like, people will say they're hot. It's because there's so much alcohol in there, it's almost burns you.
Yeah, hot, and then that's what people like.
That was a little trend that people were saying.
Yeah, and I guess it's something, for people who hear, oh, hey, that wine's hot. It's not because it's temperature hot. It's an alcohol term.
Yeah, it's an alcohol. But one thing I love about the Zin too is you could actually have 2 glasses of this and not be twisted. On the ones that are 17, 18%, you have 1 glass and you could be gone.
Well, and the other reason that we kind of make the wine in that style is you can enjoy this with dinner. I mean, some of those big wines, I can't even eat food. It's not, there's a place and purpose for them. I mean, maybe a cocktail wine or an after dinner beverage or something. Maybe I'll drink any wine with cheese. There's no reason, but yeah, so this is kind of more something you can drink. Well, here's one. Here, I'll ask a question here. Oh, someone likes my hat. Thank you. This is my quarantine hat. It's safety first in all different directions, so thank you. Maybe Dad needs a hat, but what is your favorite, and actually everyone else can chime in too, what do you enjoy Zinfandel with? What is your favorite food pairing? I know mine, but I want to ask you first.
Me? Mm-hmm. To tell you the truth, I love to pair my Zins with my nice ribeye, with my seasoning.
Really?
Yeah, because with the ribeye and the marbly fat in it, which I know you're not supposed to eat all that, but I have to tell you, those two go together like birds of a feather.
What is it about your seasoning? What do you season your meat with?
It depends. Sometimes I'll use a rub. And then other times I personally really like the Santa Maria.
Oh yeah.
I really like that Santa Maria mix. But I love my Zin with that, and I love my Zin with cheese too. And the Beamster seems to go pretty good with this because it pairs really good with Syrah, and Syrah has a little bit of pepperiness to it. And that's why I think that Beamster stands up to a big wine.
Okay, yeah,
That's just me.
And and that's the aged Gouda, right? The Beamster.
Yeah, it's kind of grainy, that orange.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
a staple in my house.
I would say when I think of this wine, I think I want to enjoy it I always think of the summer, and I always want to enjoy it with like baby back ribs with a nice barbecue sauce. There's a restaurant here. Well, actually, it was the one in the Bellicera, Enoteca. They closed down, but they had this appetizer of these like guava glazed. I don't even know what kind. It must have been in the barbecue sauce, or I don't know how they made it. But it was kind of like a sweet and spicy barbecue sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that's kind of like that direction, and it was these just beautiful little baby back ribs, and it fall off the bone. So I would enjoy it with that. And as far as cheese goes, I think my cheese pairing with this one would be kind of a creamy blue, not a real dry blue cheese, but maybe just a creamy blue.
Ooh, I like that. I think that the Huntsman, have you ever had the Huntsman?
Is that the orange blue?
I think it has two things combined together. It's almost like a camisole.
Camisola?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's the huntsman's name. And Jean used to, at Di Ramondo's, she used to carry it. But I guess lately, it's been very hard to get certain cheeses.
This is what our life has come to.
Yeah.
We don't get the cheeses we want.
I mean, every Thursday I would go across the street, get 2 things of bread and 3 different cheeses. And that's what I would eat Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when I worked here before.
Ah. So let's talk about what we're getting on this wine. So, like I said, this is a little higher on the alcohol than we would normally see, but the fruit is there. This one I would call.
I get that.
I get some bright fruit. I mean, maybe even strawberry, but like I get some blackberry maybe.
Yes, and I get that blackberry, and I get like a little bit of like a currant because it has that nice.
There's a richness to it.
Yeah, that richness that I just love. I mean, I wish that we could make perfume out of wine, but then what if we got stopped by the police? They would think we were drinking.
Yeah, that's. I feel like every day at harvest, I get in my car and I smell of fermenting grapes.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm pretty. Oh well. Anyhow,
I'm pretty.
Yeah. So then I would say, I mean, even though this is a bigger alcohol wine, there's a lot of fruit, but it's really balanced. It's very medium bodied on it. I mean, not a lot of tannin.
Exactly. That's what I love, and that's what I was saying. To me, it's a little bit more elegant because the flavors just flow so nicely together from front to back. You're not going to get like something hit you and then later taste something. Yeah. It has a really nice long lingering finish, which I love. It's like the wine that keeps on giving.
Oh.
You know, you drink it and
there's something.
You know, it's like, oh, I did just drink some wine.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't just fall off.
Yeah, this is the 2017 vintage, which this particular year we were able to get some grapes from a vineyard over here on the east side, and I was so excited about it. The first time I went out to visit, it's a beautiful vineyard. It's kind of if you're not familiar with Paso Robles, so if you like due west of the tasting room, maybe 5 miles. So from downtown Paso, go 5 miles east. And Zinfandel in Paso is not as well known on the east side
than it is
on the west. And I think a lot of it is there's a lot of very famous older vineyards on the west side, but this one was about a 40-year-old vineyard, and it was a head pruned vineyard, which is really, it's the only head pruned vineyard that I've ever seen. Yeah. Okay, so Bonnie's going to show you guys a picture of what a head prune looks like on a vineyard. So as you can see, it's just it looks like a little bush. I mean, it looks like a rose bush almost, you know, like what a rose bush would. Someone's calling. Sorry if you hear our voice machine. We're busy right now. Sorry. But yeah, so that is a head pruned vineyard, and this one was one of the only head pruned Zin vineyards I've seen on the east side, especially something that old. One thing that is different about that one is they do irrigate it. It is a little warmer on the east side and not as much free running water.
So it's not dry. It's not
dry farmed. No, it's irrigated. Well, you know, what's funny is I feel like I'm turning into my dad every day because I measure the rainfall at my house. We measure it up at the winery, and I'll look and watch on the weather. There's a great weather app on PasoWine.com.
Oh, really?
Well, maybe it's just for members. Sorry if I jumped over the gun, but it tracks the rainfall in different areas. But from what I have seen, we on the east side, well, I'm sorry, not we. So up in San Miguel, where our vineyard is, he gets about half to 3/4 of what I get at my house, which is down just by like in southern Atascadero, right before you get on the grade to go to San Luis Obispo. But east side, west side, sometimes it can be as many as like 3 times. So if we get, you know, an average rainfall of 12 to 14 inches, they'll get 20 to 28. Wow. It's crazy. And different areas are there's a lot of variation, I would say. But But for the most part, like they do have a lot more rainfall, but that's why they can do the dry farming, so they're not irrigating their crops.
Gotcha.
So.
I know one of the Zins that I really like on the west side is my Zin Alley.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
Frank. And he has really old vines. I think he says that he has 100-year-old vines.
Oh, I would not doubt it. Well, maybe. I can't remember. I haven't been out there in years.
Well, hopefully they don't get it, his vines don't get the coronavirus, because the vines are probably dug so down deep they're sucking water from China.
Oh, I know. I'm not sure, but I don't know. They dug a hole to China and they're not coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at any rate, yeah. So it was kind of a neat experience to go out to that vineyard. The 2018 vintage, which we'll be releasing next, is from a different vineyard, but
right on.
yeah, but that's okay, because this year, on good authority, I found out that we will be going back to the Winebush Vineyard. So very excited. To the head prune, yeah. Well, that's just I'm gonna have, when we were talking about head prune, for anyone who doesn't know what the head prune stuff is. So this is what we showed you was head prune. This is actually a trellised vineyard. This is about what we do. This is so you let the vine grow up, and then you train it along a wire system. And this is for ease of harvest, ease of all kinds of stuff. What I did read actually about the head prune vineyards is a lot of times you find a lot of older vineyards that are head pruned because when they were planted 100 years ago or even more, here in Lodi, Napa, all these areas, even actually some of the oldest vines are down, I believe it's near Rancho Cucamonga, which is a lot of fun. I just like to say Cucamonga, but they did not have the trellis equipment readily available. So, in order to train a vineyard like you just saw, you have to have the metal stakes, you have to have the wire, you have to have the labor to train it all. So having a freestanding vine that's, several feet apart, you just let it grow on its own, and there's just one like wooden stake typically. But now that we have, obviously a lot more technology and equipment when it comes to farming, you can run the wire for as long as you whatnot. But the other thing was, it was before we had the weed control programs we have now, it was for ease of use of tilling the vineyard, because you would go down one row and then you would go down another direction. So you would cross plow, cross cultivate the head prune vineyard. But it's definitely a more old-fashioned way of doing things. Benefits as far as ripening or whatnot, I think that's going to be in the eye of the beholder. It'll be very interesting to work with the grape again. I was super happy with it, and I think that's going to be more of a personal opinion as opposed to proven different things. I don't know.
So were both of the Zins, 17 and then 18, you got it from 2 different vineyards, were they both head pruned?
The 2018 grape that I got is actually from down by Lake Lopez. So it is kind of in this little valley, which I had no idea existed until 5 years ago. But it is trained, and it's kind of, there is another area down there where they have old vineyards from, I believe it was, is it Sausalito? Not Sausalito. There's a winery down in Edna Valley. So in Edna Valley, there's a winery that's been around for close to 100 years, maybe 80 to 100 years. And they were the first to plant there. And
I
so
did not know that.
These grapes were grafted from those, and that's what we got for 2018. So it'll be fun to see the difference. Yeah. So I have no comments from anyone, so I'm going to try to refresh my system here and see if anyone's...
Are you still there?
I know, is anyone here?
Aloha.
Have you been able to log in, Bonnie?
No, I didn't.
Oh, dang,
Yeah,
okay.
that's all.
Let me see if I can log in. Again.
Mm-hmm.
Now playing. So, yeah, so at any rate, that's our 2017 Zinfandel. Oh, Okay, so I'm gonna look and see if anyone has any questions. Please send them our way. Whether it be about the wine, about the Zinfandel in particular, Vineyard stuff, how we're doing, which we'd all like everyone to ask how we're doing, or any other questions you might have. Food pairing options, cheese, favorite movie, doesn't matter. Just shoot us a question.
Oh, here we are.
Are you there?
I'm here. I'm logged in.
Oh, look, I have everyone's stuff now. Okay.
Yay! Hello, everybody.
Loving you in chat. Okay.
Oh, so this is it.
Oh yeah, you can turn if there's a small delay, so you just have to turn the volume off. Any questions? We'll just wait for a few seconds and banter on about before there's any questions. Can you describe your, let's see.
Whole, I guess, was it whole cluster prepared? Or I don't know if that's what she's asked.
So I have a question. Oh wait, how's John? How's John? Well, we have his virtual reality counterpart here. Health-wise, Dad is great. He's doing well. He's actually surprisingly in quite a good mood for having to be contained on the ranch. I think the biggest thing he misses is not being able to go to the airport for breakfast. There's a great cafe out there, Joe's Place, and that place. And then he has 2 other places that he frequents in town here. And I think that's his biggest complaint, is not being able to go out for breakfast. But otherwise, he is ornery as ever and doing quite well. So thank you for asking. Hopefully we'll get him down here for one of these things. We'll see how that goes. If you know my dad, you know that might be pulling teeth, so. Okay, so I'm assuming that this question is, can we describe a whole cluster? Is that what it is, whole cluster? Like the method of fermentation. So if you guys have been visiting us in the last few years, you know that I believe it was in 2016, we started experimenting with whole cluster fermentation. For us, due to the layout of our winery and the capacity of our tanks, we did what they call like a simulated whole cluster. Whole cluster is basically not manipulating the grapes much, picking them off the vine and then putting them into, my mind is lost right now, but there's like the $10 word. But basically, macerate themselves by the carbonic maceration. That's what, basically, you put them in a tank or a container of some sort whole. So you do not manipulate them. I do like to manipulate them a little bit just so you can start releasing the juice. Oh, we almost lost Dad. Oh my God. Oh my God, we had a problem. But at any rate, so the theory is that you let the grapes start to self-ferment themselves. So you pull them off and the sugar inside starts to ferment on its own, and it's going to expand the berry so much that it'll rupture itself. And it's a slower process, and you also get the stems involved as well. But it's a different theory of fermenting everything whole. A lot of times people will do it for grapes which have thin skins and high acid. A lot of the Italian varietals, certain growing conditions, things like that. Just because when you put a thin-skinned high acid berry or anything with a delicate skin, larger berry, it goes through a crusher or a destemmer, and it really kind of is hard on the berry because the skin is kind of thin, kind of like my personality. But yeah, so the idea is the carbonic maceration. It's a slower process. They rupture on their own, the juice goes in, and it ferments whole with cluster, grape, and all the parts in there. It's supposed to be a little softer on the berry itself. The process itself is still the same though. You know, you're fermenting sugar into alcohol. Then we do press it off after that fermentation is complete. So
the Zinfandel is more of a delicate grape?
Zinfandel is, it's one of the most beautiful cluster, this sounds horrible. It's a beautiful cluster. It's, they're very long, they're very big berries, beautiful color. It's a beautiful cluster. Sometimes as you let a Zinfandel cluster age, the skin is going to thin out. So like, you know, as it ripens, the skin becomes a little thinner. Just like, I mean, if you get the grapes at a grocery store, depending on the season or depending on the grape, you can always tell something that's, you know, later in the season, thinner skin. It's not as crisp when you bite into it, things like that.
Right on.
But yeah, you can even look at the skin. Some of the thicker skinned grapes, so thin skin, Sangiovese, Barbera, very thin, very high acid. Sangiovese is thinner on the skin.
Is it Pinot?
I have not ever worked with Pinot. I was hoping to do that this year, and we weren't able to. But the Cab has a the Cabernet is just not an attractive cluster at all. It's very small. Like they're like the size of marbles.
Really?
It's horrible.
Wow.
Okay, so let's see what other questions I have here. Less work and manual labor. Yes and no on that. It's still like once you bring fruit in, it still requires that day-to-day maintenance. As far as the initial part, we have like a mechanized crusher destemmer, so we're not saving too much on that labor, but the day-to-day is still there as far as the maintenance on everything.
So when we bring in grapes, and they're in those big square tubs,
Before we crush them?
yeah, before we crush them,
That's the bins? Yeah, yeah.
The bins,
Okay,
that's it,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So if there's a ton of them, do you have to crush them all that day, or can
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, you can chill them down, like the whole, I hated going to school and my professor always, the answer to every question we asked is, it depends. But that's the answer to that question too. So, once you pick a grape from the vine, there's a timeline of life, you know, obviously. So you want to get it under control and get it stabilized before something goes south.
Gotcha.
Just like produce at the store, really. But if it's cold, you know, you can let them sit for a while. I think if it's over 60 degrees, we'll want to take action. If it's under that, you don't have to right away, but it's still a short amount of time.
I worked at another winery, and when I went down to watch them do what they were doing when we were harvesting, and they had put some kind of a chemical on the grapes.
There's a lot of different things that people do if they want to get if for stabilization. If they're going to process that day, there's a mixture of stuff you put in just to keep things stable. And
okay.
So because a grape is going to ferment on its own no matter what. It's sugar. You heat it up, it will turn to alcohol. I'm pretty sure you can do that with a lot of different fruits and vegetables and everything you want, but it's going to happen, and so there's a way to stabilize it so that bacteria doesn't form, because that's the biggest issue for grapes.
So that's probably
But the other thing that people will try to do, especially if they're doing like a cold soak process, they'll super cool things, so they'll put CO2, dried ice, all kinds of things to cool down the grape mass itself.
Okay. Thank you, Ray.
Fun facts.
Fun facts.
Fun facts of the day. Okay. And we have a request for a Pinot. I was trying really hard this year. I had a line on some really cool Pinot, and unfortunately they decided to not harvest this year because it's a younger vine. They're going to let it grow another year. Typically a vine needs to be about 4 or 5 years old before it's mature. If you push it, you can get crops at younger ages, but I do respect the desire to let the vine mature on its own, even though I got greedy and wanted to do it. But we'll see. Maybe next year, or maybe if I have a lot of free time around harvest time. That's what happened this year, because we have a Cab Franc and a Malbec, and I'm pretty sure it's because I had too much free time on my hands in 2018.
Not this year.
Okay, so camping at the ranch. So all of this stuff, we're taking everything day by day. So the question was, are we still allowing camping at the ranch or in the Airstream? So I have been trying to follow all of the requirements and whatnot as far as we are on Airbnb and HipCamp for our camping facilities at the winery. And I've been receiving a lot of messages. I'm probably 2 days behind on those just because we have been modeling and doing a lot of other things, and so I'm going to start reading them. Initially, when this first let out, we had everyone just cancel. We did have someone camp when we first went under quarantine. Actually, it was like the 18th or 19th, and it was fine. I think what I would like to do versus what we're going to be required to do are two different things. Right now, I don't mind allowing people to camp as long as it's just one party at a time, and very small groups, of course. But I do need to review kind of the guidelines that have been set forth on our HipCamp and Airbnb platforms. So they've had daily updates, just like every day I get to tune in and see what the county update is with KSBY or Paso Robles Wine Alliance has been fantastic about keeping us updated on everything. So I hope that answers the question. It's right now we're doing very limited stuff, day-to-day basis. That could change. So yeah. Any other questions? Do you have any questions? I'm trying to think of anything else. We have had some great, the last video that we recorded, we've been downloading some different shelter-in-place, I guess you would call them, I don't know, suggestions. And the first one, I don't know how the heck I ended up on that website, but it was some sort of bird watching website, and so everything had to do with building birdhouses and things like that. But this last one was like some sort of like gun, I don't know, like it was a prepper site for sure.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they said was to convert your shop back to like your wet dry shop back to like, an air filter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do that, Bonnie? Did you take that suggestion?
I did, and I forgot to drain the water, so I sprayed it all over myself.
Oh man, yeah, and so I don't have any new updates on shelter-in-place suggestions, but I do have. I mean, I watched that Tiger King thing, and you got to take the animals aside of it, but it was the biggest train wreck I've ever seen that I could not turn off. So I would recommend binging that. It's good for 6 hours of TV.
That's awesome.
Not that I advocate binge watching TV, but if you're home and you're not busy, just give it a gander. You'll feel a lot better about your life.
I have to tell you, one of my favorites that I would binge watch, and it's not on anymore, and I wish it was, is Dexter. Did you ever watch Dexter?
I never got into that hole.
Okay, that, once you got into that, all bets were off. It's like, you wanted to root for the serial killer.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he killed serial killers.
Oh.
So he killed people that were bad.
Is that what they call fighting fire with fire?
I think so.
I've done that a few times in different avenues, I guess you would say.
Yes.
Okay, so you have our suggestions this week for TV. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was, hold on, I got some new, we were talking about how this whole thing has changed our lives maybe for the better, like the silver lining, if you will, for this situation. So Bonnie had a good one.
The silver lining that I have for this whole thing is, and I actually heard this from somebody else, is it's actually, the sad thing about it is this thing is killing people, which is very bad, but it's keeping all of us in to where it's actually helping our environment with pollution and kind of clearing up stuff that has taken over the world for a long time. And pretty soon you're going to be able to see some nice sunsets without pollution.
But I thought the pollution was what made the sunsets beautiful.
No.
I mean, in certain areas.
Certain areas.
Not
probably
here.
in New York, but you can't see the sunset in New York because there's a big lining there.
So I just got a question here. are we making a Pinot? And the answer, or I'm sorry, a Malbec. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, I know. So we're doing, maybe that, the other thing that we're going to take questions, suggestions, and everything on is which wine we want to do next, and or suggestions for our next live feed. But yes, the answer is we did a Malbec. We are, and thankfully, this Malbec came from some of our club members had a beautiful vineyard over in the El Pomar region, and we were able to make some Malbec from it, and it was also beautiful fruit, beautiful clusters, to be honest. So we did a Malbec. It's a 2018. It's from the El Pomar region. Oh, what? El Pomar region of Paso. We will be releasing it this summer. We'll be doing a feature of the vineyard called Halcyon Vineyards from our club members. But yeah, so hopefully we'll release it this summer. It's delicious, a lot of flavor. We've never done a Malbec before. We didn't know if we were going to make a blend with it. We were going to do 100%. We ended up doing 100% single varietal Malbec. That is kind of our theory in winemaking, is just presenting the fruit from the vineyard, presenting a characteristic of the varietal. So that's, yeah, stay tuned on that one. Maybe we'll try to taste some of the new lineup at some point too. So.
And we did a Cab Franc, which
we did.
I enjoy so much.
Bonnie wrote a wonderful article in our newsletter about the Cab Franc.
Well,
does it hold a special place in your heart?
it does. It's the friend you haven't met.
Tell us a little about Cab Franc.
Ah!
No?
I'm nervous.
We're talking about Zin today, so give
Yeah.
Zin its day.
I will do Cab Franc next time though.
Ooh, maybe we'll taste. Okay, so everyone, can you send in which
Requests?
wines? Yeah, requests for the next wine we should do.
Yes.
Any other questions you might have? I'm having a little
Well,
technical difficulty.
yeah, I can tell you, Cab Franc actually, it's kind of a descent, but Cab Franc is the daddy, of course, of Cabernet. Sauvignon Blanc is the mommy. That's how I look at it. But Merlot is a descendant from Cab Franc also. So there's it came from that little region. So I don't know what was happening back in the day, but I guess they were sharing little grape stories.
It was kind of like a little grape orgy.
Yeah, a grape orgy. I think so. But
we have a request for Tuscan Nights.
Oh, that would be good.
That would be a good one.
Yes.
That'd be hard to do a food pairing with, but I'll think about it because we'll have
Tuscan
time.
Nights, really?
I think so. Do you don't?
I don't, because it's Cab and Sangio, so, and with a little petite that is amazing.
You can't give it no spoiler alerts. We can't give away any spoiler alerts.
Okay, I'm not gonna tell you. And the Blanchio, oh my God,
Oh, I know what I would do.
is the best.
Oh, we have a lot of good suggestions and theories, so I think you guys should join us again.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna wait here for a few more seconds, and are there any other questions, suggestions, variety requests? And also, just so you guys know, if you did enjoy the Zen, let us know. We'll post some of this stuff. This is all new territory for everybody, so we're really trying to dive into the social media. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and if you really did enjoy the Zen, like I said, you guys, if you're a local, I'll give us a call. Order it, I'll drop it off at your house.
Bonnie drives the coolest scooter you've ever seen. She has a Vespa.
Well, it's actually called a Buddy Kick.
Oh, the Buddy Kick.
Yeah, because I looked at the Vespas, but they wanted a lot of money, $7,000 for a Vespa.
But I think what the best part about yours is you have a San Francisco Giants helmet.
And I have a San Francisco Giant plate.
So, yeah, you do. Oh, wait, I haven't seen the plate.
Yeah, the San Francisco Giants, I had it made. And then I'm ordering the black and white, black and yellow plate.
Oh, the old school.
Yeah, the old schools, because I want old school. So I look like, and I have a really cool scarf that I wear, and that it flows in the wind while I'm driving.
Yeah. So if you're missing the fact that baseball season is starting a little late today, or this year, Bonnie will show up with the San Francisco Giants apparel and wine. And that's a win-win.
Yeah. Yes.
Would you wear the orange gloves, the quarantine gloves?
I will. I'm actually gonna buy a lot of these because
We're safe. We're
safe.
Aw.
Jazz hands.
Oh, we can make little things. Okay, well, we'll say goodbye and we'll try to make our best little like hand puppets as we say goodbye to you. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please send us your feedback about anything that you think we should do differently, what you want to hear from us, comments, questions, anything. We have gotten a few different requests, so we'll go through it and pick out the next line. And just so you know, the hatch next 2 doors down, you can pick up the Sangiovese with some food to go. So in the near future, we are going to be doing, once we get our live video feed figured out, we're going to be doing a food pairing with the hatch with
yes.
the Sangiovese. So
And it's going to be good. And you know, I have to tell you, you've had their chicken and the Sangiovese goes amazing with it. Just saying.
cool. Well, thank you guys.